I'm offering one-on-one lessons. I'll link it in the description in case you want to check it out. All right, so I have these samples and I have this. Boom. Okay, so I recorded these one-shot wood samples, and I'm triggering them through session view. They're cut up, and what's triggering them like continuously is that they're all set, so you have a follow action in Ableton. You can set it, so I set it to any, and once it's triggered, it will trigger a different one. So, the chain. It's this. So the first thing, okay. So I'm using Volcano. It's literally a preset overblown, but it's distorting it and cutting off the top end and introducing it from time to time. Or actually, no, it's not. So it's just cutting out the top end. Okay, it actually is. And then it's using there as kind of like an overdrive. So this next effect rack, it's what's pushing the whole thing up. So the first one, I'm using Melda's Granular, and I'm using a preset Sci-Fi, whatever. I was listing through presets. I'm using a utility to give it a bit of gain, and I'm using a compressor to limit. Right? Just to like tame the uppermost peaks if it's hitting. I'm using Pro Q4 with spectral mode enabled here, so you can enable like it's almost acting as soothe. Again, it's like kind of removing like frequencies. It just gives it a different texture. Usually, like, this is really cool for like very harsh top end and stuff like that. But here I'm taming like dynamics in spectral mode. Next, the good old disperser. So without it, I'll give it a bit more gain just so you can hear it better. Right? No, it gives it an envelope, and it gives it like, I feel the way it works is when it hits the threshold and the signal hits the threshold and like the part of like the frequencies that are, I guess, like this cue is accentuated at, it starts reacting and it gives it like a pitch envelope, which is really cool because, and I feel that's the reason why people use it a lot, is because it really makes it like, it's easier for it to sit in a mix because it's like really quickly going through the spectrum, right? Then I'm using a bit of roar. Right? But the way I'm using it is I'm using like this tone option, so it's doing its work as a tone shaper, and it's pushing it up, and a bit of drive. It's working here, but here it's kind of like, if you can imagine a straight line, so it's kind of like pushing it upwards, right? I'm not cutting anything, I'm just pushing it upwards. And I don't think, I have this one wet thing that I use a lot, but here it's not doing anything, right? So the next one, this is the lower part. So I put this compressor before an OTT, and I set the drive down, or the amount, sorry. A disperser, and you can see that it's here, it's reacting to the like low mid part of the spectrum. It's acting more as a kick. This LFO isn't doing anything, and the reverb isn't doing anything. This is doing a bit of drive, but yeah, it is actually. Okay. Oh, it might be because it's just hitting this, so it's not doing anything much. And that's like when you combine them together. I have two bands of the wood sample like playing, and what's cool with the lower part is that it's like getting pushed and you can hear it, like the room tone getting pushed up. And what I'm doing is because what's making the whole thing tonal and what's doing the majority of the thing is the convolution reverb, but I'll get to it quickly. Then I'm using a Pro Q4. Here I had some nasty stuff going. Again, this is the taste, and what I find really cool with EQing is switching in between like audio sources or actually our audio outputs to listen to. So I have my headphones and I have my monitors, right? But for this, and I do that, is I use some form of very like bad speakers. I had these for like, I don't know, 20 years, honestly, like 20 years. And I know how they sound, and they probably cost like 50 euros even back then. So I go in between, like when working, I go in between sound outputs, and I get like really fast, fresh ear input when I work like that. Here, I'm doing the spectral thing as well, and I have it so it's set so it's like I have these kind of unpleasant peaks here, and it's set so when it hits it, it tames it. Right, because I needed to have a threshold where it activates, because I like the room tone, which has top end frequencies there, but when it hits it, like when it hits like a spike, it immediately reacts. And then right, a Kramer tape, any form of tape plugin, you know, a saturator, pedal, whatever, but I like how, you know, a Kramer tape sounds, honestly. And, you know, I see it's pretty consonant, and I can visually see what's happening. Then I'm going to, like, I'll get a really nice texture, and then it's time for to feed it into Nelda's convolution or any form of convolution plugin, like you have, which is like really good. The hybrid reverb in Ableton, you can put a melodic, like what I'm doing here is I'm using a melodic sound source as an impulse response rather than a traditional impulse response, which is mimicking a space. And here I'm using 1 second. This is the original sample. And so the way the convolution thing is working, as the sample is playing, it's kind of triggering it, and both are meshing together. Sorry. And here I have my dry wet, so works. Here So once you input your like melodic impulse response, here you can see that I stretched it a bit, and this was all done to taste, and I EQ'd it quite a bit. Again, here what I was doing as I was working, I was going like A-Bing my monitors and my precise setup with the two shitty speakers that I know, and I was removing and adding a bit of like top end here, and this is all done to taste, so there's really no right way to do this, you know. And again, additionally this was done to taste. Then I repeated the same thing with this additional layer. So it's literally it's the same sample, but it's pitched. No, it's actually even not even pitched up, but as you can see with my EQ, I'm letting only the top part of the sample play. But I'm processing it differently, so I was able to mix it in with the original one, and you can see I'm adding in quite a bit of drive, and I did a bit of overdrive. There was a peak that sounded shit, and so I removed it. Then there was like a part where, as I was working, maybe I'll remove the processing here. Even as it is now, this sample is cool. It's a bit maybe heavy in the mid frequencies and that stuff, but in the context with the previous one, when I took this filter and I went a bit with the drive, I liked how it sounded like kind of like a choir. And then I went more with this one. I wanted it to mesh it with the first one, and the first one is kind of like mid and low heavy, and I wanted it to sound airy. And then, I mean, even now, it has a very precise and delicate overdrive happening, which is cool, as you can kind of, and stuff like when things are distorted, overdriven, they're cool to, like, they're easy to fit in with other stuff mix wise. But then I'm using the standard clip plugin. This is a clip distortion unit, clipping plugin, whatever. This is cool. I mean, like, people who make trap, they use it really on 808s, because it's, again, this sounds like the clipping and the way it sounds with this plugin, it's very good. But here I'm, as you can see, I kind of like, as the peaks are getting up, it's pleasantly like getting distorted again. And here at the end of the channel, I'm giving it a little bit of space, because I like to do that when I have something, when I like overdrive it, a bit of like reverb, any form, like this one knob thing, it's literally the same thing. I like how it sounds, but it's literally the same thing if you were to put a reverb and probably get a bit more of like early reflections rather than like late reflections, because it just positions the whole thing differently in the mix. And when you gel them together, right, which is pretty cool. And then you can take this a bit further. As you can see, I have these two utilities here. You can very easily kind of like perform of like, because here with the utility, you're controlling how much of the like original signal you're inputting into the, okay, this, right, if I were to maybe to set this to 100. I can literally perform and get gestures and variety with it. And when you get it down, it doesn't go immediately, with the volume, so it fades out very pleasantly. Right, even like with this one. So that's it. Have a nice day.